As promised, he is on the phone line, courtesy of our his friends and now ours at Jimmy John's. He is future first ballot Hall of Famer and one of the GOATs at the position of quarterback from the New Orleans Saints, Drew Brees. How are you, Drew?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Just a couple weeks away from, let me get this right, season 19. That's a ridiculous number. How does that number hit you, Drew?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy when you think about it, but try not to. Just try to stay in the moment and enjoy it while I can.
Right, until guys like me bring it up. That's essentially what you're saying. I could hear it in your voice.
Yeah,
Drew.
exactly.
I could hear it in your voice. I could hear it in your voice. But in terms of obviously we know what the goal is going to be for you this year. What is the challenge, I guess, for you in season 19, different from anything else, Drew?
Well, I wouldn't say. I mean, each season stands alone, right? Each season has its own set of challenges. I think it's more exciting than it is anything, because you start training camp, and for me, I love training camp. I love the start of the season. I love watching the team come back, and the excitement, the expectations, and then watching some of the young guys that were rookies the year before, who had no clue what was happening, to all of a sudden the light bulb begins to come on, and you've been able to spend more time together, and there's this comfort level of confidence with the offense or with what we're doing, and you just watch all the pieces come together. You look at the free agent acquisitions and just see how it's all, the role that everyone's going to play. And so that for me is exciting, and that's what I really enjoy about the start of each season.
Well, in terms of that, as I'm sure you might imagine, I started my show with the conversation involving Antonio Brown and his helmet, and how him needing to get into camp, for various reasons, and get on the practice field, least of all, is to get some timing down with his quarterback. And I'm wondering if you can give to the listeners and viewers of this show the importance of that, how you work on that. I've seen that stuff on just recently on Inside Training Camp when the NFL Network visited your camp, what you were doing with Can't Guard Mike, where you think everything's already on the same page. I wonder if you could give voice to the importance of that.
Listen, it's extremely important. And even when you come into years with guys where it's familiar faces, or guys that you've been with for a long time. Yes, there is a lot of you have had a lot of reps together. There's been a lot of time on task, but I feel like each year, hey, you have to reestablish that. You got to reestablish your identity as a team. You got to reestablish the timing. There's always new things that we're working on and fine tuning, and I think that's just what gives you confidence. When you step on the field, where, man, I'm on the same page with this guy. We're seeing it the same way, and but that takes time. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes a lot of extra work.
And then when rubber meets road during a game, the fact that you've done it over and over again, does that crop up? I think I know the answer to it, but I'd like to hear from somebody who's as expert at it as possible, that second nature comes into play in the crucible of a fourth quarter, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. You don't have time to think out there.
Right.
You just have to react, and you have to play with a lot of instincts and a lot of trust and confidence. And that's really what the game is predicated on. And you build that with that time together on the practice field and in the meeting rooms and with the conversations.
Where does Kamara rank of talented guys that you've played with, Drew?
Man, he's up there. He is way up there. It's pretty amazing. The combination of his athletic ability, just how fluid he is as an athlete, as a runner, how smart he is as a football player, his ability to grasp, whatever we put on his plate. He can do so many things. He's so versatile. I love his demeanor. Pretty calm, cool, collected, and yet, he's really fun to be around. He's a lot of smiles, a lot of laughs on the practice field. He's a great teammate. You enjoy being around him. And obviously, he's a heck of a football player. So he ranks way up there.
Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP, 12-time Pro Bowler, and as you'll hear, the importance of Jimmy John's franchisee owner, Drew Brees, here on the Rich Eisen Show. One of the things that's not on your list is MVP of a regular season, Drew. I understand that, why you play this game and why you continue still playing this game. How important is it to maybe get that in your trophy case by the time you do hang it up?
Well, it's not something that I really think about or focus on. It's just it's a recognition, right? And I think what's most important is the way that my teammates feel about me, and I guess the respect that you get from other players around the league. Those things are important. Other coaches, other people that know the game. Certainly I think any player likes to have the acknowledgement, when that comes along with those types of awards, right, or recognition. But that's not why I play the game.
One of the things I enjoyed watching over the weekend on Twitter, Drew, was the quarterback challenge that you did with Phillip Rivers when the Saints were hanging out with the Chargers over the last week. And I just, because it not only shows a camaraderie between, football players, but also just a competition where everyone's just getting into every last point. I loved watching that, but I also couldn't help but think about the combination of the two of you together in the Chargers organization. What goes through your brain when you're doing that sort of stuff with Phillip, Drew?
Yeah, it's funny. We had some good laughs. And I think as the years go on, those memories become even more fun to kind of rehash. We had a good room there. Phillip's first year was 2004, and so Doug Flutie was also in our room at the time. Brian Schottenheimer was our quarterback coach. Man, we had a lot of fun, and a lot of good moments together. Phillip is a rookie. I was the starter, but only a third-year guy, a fourth-year guy, and then Doug Flutie, who, was a legend, for Phillip and I, and such a great guy to be around during that time in our career. Man, it was it was a lot of fun. We actually, you'll enjoy this. So Flutie was he was the old dog, right? I think he was 41 maybe at the time, and Flutie was set in his ways, right? And so there were days where, all of a sudden there was something new that was in the plan, or some new drill that we were working on, and we could tell Flutie would get salty about it. So we called him the salty dog. So there was a restaurant down in Hilton Head, South Carolina called the Salty Dog Cafe, and I ended up getting a football from that restaurant and bringing it into the quarterback room for that year. And whenever somebody in the room would get mad about something or get salty about something, we would make them sign the ball and date it. And so I kept the ball from that year, and it's got all of our signatures on it just at various times during the year. And you can literally reference, like, the moment, right? Like, oh, I remember that signature. I was mad about, something that happened in practice or whatever it might have been. And, man, we had a good laugh about that. I still have that in my office, the salty dog ball.
Fantastic.
And that's something, if you ask Phillip about or if you ask Flutie about, man, that'll bring back some great memories.
So who did Flutie have the most on that? Or is that
without question, Flutie is all over that ball. He's got the most signatures ever on that ball. The original salty dog.
Fantastic. Well, now maybe there should be a football in the Saints room where it has Jimmy John's or something like that, right, Drew? I mean, now you can have something like that. Right. So tell me about this amazing contest. It's a very interesting way to deliver sandwiches to somebody that's outside of the Jimmy John's delivery zone, Drew, but I give you the floor here.
Well, yeah, if somebody's outside the Jimmy John's delivery zone, it's a 5-minute delivery zone. So I'm a Jimmy John's franchisee. We own 9 locations here in New Orleans and 9 in South Bend, Indiana. But we have a 5-minute delivery zone, and that's how we get it to you as fast as we do and as fresh as we do, and that's why we do it better than anybody else. But the frustration comes when, you live just outside the Jimmy John's delivery zone.
Mm-hmm.
You're a huge Jimmy John's fan, right? You need your sandwich delivered to you. So what we're doing is we're hosting this contest called Home in the Zone, where you go on the JimmyJohns.com website, you write a 250-word essay as to why you should live inside the Jimmy John's delivery zone.
Yeah.
And we're going to pick one lucky winner and basically buy them a home up to $250,000 inside the Jimmy John's delivery zone, so they can be delivered Jimmy John's forever.
So
there you go. That's pretty good, right?
A new home just to get the sandwich you wanted. I mean, that is a deal of the century, Drew. That is amazing.
That's exactly right.
And so,
I currently live in the Jimmy John's delivery zone.
Okay.
I'm close to the Maple Street location here in New Orleans, so I'm good to go. But there's lots of people we're trying to hook up here.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you do actually live in the zone and you enter this contest, you can receive free sandwiches and free delivery for a year as well. 5 people have that sort of opportunity. If you own, I understand what a franchise is, but is it possible, since you own 9 of them, to get a sandwich named after me, Drew? Is this entirely feasible to work this? What do you think?
Well, what would you like for your sandwich to be?
Well, Drew, if you ask my kids, it would have to be cheesy, and ask maybe listeners or viewers of the show full of bologna. I think, is there a cheese and bologna sandwich of some sort? Mix it together.
You know what? So the bologna and cheese would be the Eisen. Are we just calling it the Eisen?
I would take that. Yeah, sure. The Eisen.
Okay.
Just order the
You know
Eisen.
what? I'm gonna work on that. What number should we associate with that? Like my favorite's the number 9, the Italian nightclub, right? Not just because I'm number 9, but it just happens to be number 9.
Okay. I just turned 50. We could do that.
Oh, the 50.
The 50. You could do the 50.
The 50, otherwise known as the Eisen,
or the
otherwise
40,
known as the bologna and cheese.
or the 40, Drew. Come on, I run it every year in the suit. We can even give you a logo for it. This is how we work it together. This is how we're working it all together right here. So, all right, we can work on all that. Hey, before I let you go, just a couple more questions here. First. Last time we had you on at the Super Bowl, we were talking about instant replay and reviewing pass interference. Now that it's done, and you see what potential unintended consequences and also the ability to fix what happened last year, do you like it? Do you like what you're seeing, Drew Brees?
I think time will tell. We'll see how and where it influences games. And I think again, it's one thing to review something that is an element of timing, or did he cross the line or did he not, or was his knee down or was it not? Those seem to be pretty black and white judgments. I think there's a lot of gray area when it comes to pass interference, and so I think we're just going to have to see. We're going to have to see how it's evaluated, and how consistent it is.
But you like the fact that it's in, that we do have it.
That's yet to be determined.
Okay, the old TBD.
Listen, I'm all about us getting it right.
Right.
I think the more that we can be in a position where we're going to get it right, and it's the outcome of the game is determined by what should be the call, right, based upon the rules. Yeah, I'm all for that.
Okay, the old DB.
But I think you understand what I'm saying in regards to a judgment call, a level of interpretation, as opposed to something that's just black and white.
The old DB9 TBD we just got, basically, right on that. To be determined for later on this fall. Before I let you go, last one. You obviously know what the city of New Orleans is like, and how the city of New Orleans can respond to a sports star. You have been exposed to Zion Williamson. You've seen him. You've been up close with him. Your kids met him at the red carpet at the ESPYs. What are you seeing right now? What are you feeling about with this kid as he's coming into New Orleans with the Pelicans and being able to do what we all are assuming what he can do, Drew?
Listen, obviously the city's excited. It's a great opportunity for him to be a part of a really great fan base and in a great city and an organization that I think has a ton of support. The Pelicans facility is literally right across the parking lot from us.
Yep.
I could be shooting hoops there in 15 seconds from where I'm talking to you right now. So I think there's that crossover that I think provides a pretty cool element, between our organization and their organization, and obviously it's same ownership and a lot of the same leadership. But I'd say this, the expectations are so high, so I think just for a guy like him and for a team like we have, which is pretty young, man, I think it's just nose to the grindstone, just work and just think about getting a little bit better each day and just take it one step at a time. Don't get too far ahead of yourself. It's a process here, but, it's about building the right foundation by which, we can have a really winning championship-type organization, over there to complement what we're trying to accomplish over here with the Saints.
Yeah, he's got it. He certainly has the it factor, although we just showed video from the Saints Twitter feed. It seems like Purdue did beat Duke in some shooting contest on the practice field for the Saints, Drew. Did I see that correctly?
Listen, Purdue, we know how to play some hoops as well. You know what I'm saying?
I do know that.
I mean, state of Indiana here, right? That was one shocker for me. Was you show up at the Purdue co-rec,
yeah,
and you walk in, and you think you're just going to kind of run the court with some of your teammates, and all of a sudden you get some of these, corn-fed kids, coming out just shooting the lights out, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, man, where did this come from? That's state of Indiana, buddy. They know how to play some ball too.
Hey, I've seen Hoosiers. It's my favorite sports.
Right.
Hey, Drew, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Again, go to dreamhomeinthezone.com. Fans can apply up till October 4th. If you live outside the Jimmy John's delivery zone, you can go inside it. Thanks to Jimmy John's with a new home up to $250,000. That is amazing. Best to your family, and we'll chat during the season, Drew.
All right. Thanks, Rich.
You got it. That's Drew Brees, at Drew Brees on Twitter and Instagram, right here on The Rich Eisen Show.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download The Rich Eisen Show app.